Hi guys, welcome to Motorhome Rehab Ranch. If you have a GMC motorhome, like to have one, and just want to learn more about it, you're in the right place. And a special shout out to our ranch hands that helps us by supporting us to be able to make more videos, to answer questions and all that kind of stuff. At the end of the video, I'll tell you how you can also be a ranch hand. But right now, let's get into something about a GMC that maybe you know, maybe you don't. See what happens. Hey guys, it's Jim Bounds with Co-op Motorworks and Patreon at Motorhome Rehab Ranch. And the last week or so, I have been talking to a whole bunch of people calling about how to bleed their brakes. You know, hang on a second. Dave, yeah. Remember I told you yesterday that we were gonna do the brake bleeding, all right? So listen, I'm gonna put you on speakerphone, and we got the camera all set up, and I'm gonna explain this to you while they're doing the thing, okay? So let me put it on speakerphone, and let's get going here, okay? Hold on. Okay. Yeah. Can you hear me? All right. Bleeding the brakes. Listen, everybody has bled brakes, right? Pump it up, floor, hold it, all that kind of stuff. But the problem with this, and everybody looks at it's kind of a rite of passage where you know how to do brakes. Don't tell me how to bleed brakes, I got it. Listen, this coach is a big, long coach. It's got long brake lines. There could be all kinds of plaque, you know, like the stuff they dug out of my neck. In those lines, they're old, they're nasty, okay? And bleeding the brakes on one of these things is a little bit different, all right? So let me go over this and let me explain what I'm talking about. You want to do what's called a three-way brake bleed, okay? Three-way, okay? Now you say, well, what's that mean? All right, first step, okay? First step is to make sure that it's going to work. If it won't flow, it won't go. So you go to each one of the wheel cylinders. You got your wheel cylinder over here. Well, I'm just beautiful about this. You have two wheel cylinders in the back. They're tied together. They come together here. Goes up front. So if you're going to three-way bleed, you're going to put a rubber hose on the wheel cylinder, put it in a jar that has some fluid in it, run it down underneath here, and open the bleeder. Be sure that your master cylinder over here, the top is off, and you got the two wells. Be sure those wells stay filled. Make sure those wells stay filled, and let that thing just flow. If it won't flow through each wheel, the front ones go to combination valve, you got the front caliper, lines going to it. If it will not bleed from the master cylinder to the combination valve to here, and those four spots, if it will not gravity bleed, you got to back up. You can't go any further because there's some kind of an obstruction somewhere that it won't work, okay? That's unlike other things, because usually, you know, you just throw a pressure bleeder on there and just squirt that fluid through there and everything's fine. It might squirt. You might force the fluid through, but on gravity it won't flow because of the viscosity of the fluid, how much junk is in the line. It just won't go, okay? At 45 years, you got to think about something like this. So your number one bleed is a gravity bleed, okay? So let's say we got all four of them flowing and there's no more bubbles coming out. There's no more nasty fluid coming out. Okay, good. Next bleed is a pressure bleed. Everybody knows about the pressure bleeder. It's got a suction, you know, and you hook it to your wheel cylinder. You hook it to an airline, and it's got a pot here, and it sucks fluid from there and sucks it through, forces it through. After you know that it'll flow, now let's push that stuff through, okay? So you pressure bleed all six wheels, okay? You got that? Okay, good. Now, When you go to bench bleed this master cylinder, in other words, you put it on the bench and you'll take a screwdriver or something, push in to flow the fluid back through the master cylinder to bench bleed it. Don't full stroke it, because if you full stroke it, there could be a chance of the bore of the piston coming out of the bore and tearing the seal. Okay, so when you go to bench bleed this, short, quick strokes. Don't push it full stroke. Okay, so when then you put it on here, you've gravity bled it, you've pressure bled it. Now you're going to pump bleed it like the old days. Pump it up, floor, you know, that kind of thing. But put a 2x4 block under the pedal. Because, again, if you full stroke that pedal and it pushes that bore that piston too far, it could come out of the bore and tear the seal. And the damn thing will never bleed out. Won't work. Okay? So put a 2x4 block under the pedal. And now pump it up, hold to the floor, click it off. Do that on each wheel until you feel it's real good. What that's doing is anything left in like the top of the wheel cylinder or the caliper or anywhere that there's any little air bubbles left, that pump bleed will get it out. Now, in our cars, normally you just put it in and just start pumping it until it works. Because it's short lines, it's new lines. These are ancient lines. I mean, we're pumping it through a viaduct, you know, or a Roman viaduct or something. So in most cases on restorations, we're changing everything. Steel lines, hoses, we're going to double Teflon lined hoses on everything. New combination valve, brass combination valve. If you look at this thing, it's behind the driver side front wheel on the top of the frame. These things look pretty grody because it's made out of steel and brake fluid's hydroscopic. It attracts rust. It's pretty nasty. You can get a new one. They're like $85. Master cylinder, if you see anything inside here, any nasty, put a new master cylinder on it. Okay? It's just old. You got to have that pump work. They're not that expensive. Okay? So to bleed this thing, you can't just go take a coach that's been sitting for 10 years and try to bleed it out. It's not going to work. It's just not going to work. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't want to tell you. You got to go through a three-way bleed. Okay? You got all that? Got to go through a three-way bleed. You got to be sure all your components are good. Okay? And you don't want to damage your master cylinder. All right. So bleeding brakes, it's not a black hole. It's not like, well, his bleeds and that one doesn't. This guy has good brakes, that guy doesn't. A lot of people want to throw money against the wall to make something better. Really, if you take the original brake system, maintained properly and adjusted well, you can flat spot six tires at 30 miles an hour. I don't know what else you're going to do. The original brake system works great, but if it doesn't, in your case, fix it. It needs to be fixed. And when you put all the new parts in, the three-way bleed makes it all work. If you don't do it, it won't work. All right. So if you have any questions about this, let me know. Call me, ranch hands, those wannabes, you know, get hooked up. This is things we want to do. Give me some ideas of other things that you wanted to know about. And we're rock and rolling here. I don't know if you've been there. You can go on a Sunday and binge watch the Motorhome Rehab Ranch and watch everything. It's kind of cool. All right, well, look, thanks for coming. Thanks for your time, and we'll see you next time.